All right. Hey, folks. Good morning. Man, we already got a good crowd in. Hi, everybody. Good to have you here. Terry Lee. Love you, Terry, man. Thank you for the stories about Adam. Adam, you don't know what he said, so I will let you know when we get there. Got Dr. Abdullah in from Saudi Arabia. Good to have you again, sir. Love having you on. This is going to be a fun one, folks. So let's get started because we got a lot to cover in today's show. So good morning, everybody. Welcome to the 38th episode of FinTech Insider, the Breakfast Show US. I'm Sam Maule, 11FS Managing Director, North America. I'll be your host today. Do let us know where you're watching from. Really, I want to know what country you're from. Give it a shout out. We want to hear where you're based. Also, share the link to the stream. Just hit that share button. It's really complicated. It's one thing LinkedIn did really well. It will share this. Hit the like button and subscribe to 11FS on LinkedIn so you never miss a show. As a reminder, if you haven't read our latest research report yet, we'll have the link in the post here, but it's fantastic. It's about the needs of SMB owners in the U.S. and how financial institutions can make propositions to better serve them. Head to bit.ly/DIGITA-SMB or click the link in the post. All right, first, 3 news stories from the past 24 hours that caught my attention. They should have yours. I like this one. It's from Business Insider. They reported that JPMC CEO Jamie Dimon, and the de facto voice for U.S. banking, comments from a recent Deutsche Bank conference on the outlook for the U.S. economy and the impact of COVID. So Mr. Dimon said the U.S. economy looks headed for a fairly rapid recovery from the coronavirus pandemic. The government's been pretty responsive, he said. Large companies have had the wherewithal. Hopefully, we're keeping the small ones alive. Amen on that last note. He added that increasingly strong actions of the Federal Reserve have helped small businesses, and I would agree with that. Even though he expects a rebound, Dimon said that it's still possible for the U.S. to see a prolonged downturn. If this does go on for a year, it won't be good, he said. You can't prop up the stock market forever. Yeah, would agree with that. So 2 other notes, though, to kind of balance that out. So Housing Wire noted mortgage delinquencies almost doubled in April as outlook of Americans struggled to pay their bills during the COVID-19 pandemic. U.S. delinquency rate rose to 6.45% from 3.39% in March. That's the largest monthly increase ever recorded. Black Knight said in a report on Thursday it almost tripled the previous record gain of 2008, near the beginning of the last financial crisis. About 3.6 million homeowners were past due on their mortgages at the end of April, the most since January 2015. Black Knight said number jumped 1.6 million in a tally that counts forbearances as delinquent if the borrower didn't make an April payment. And finally, New York Times has a great story today titled "An Avalanche of Evictions Could Be Bearing Down on American Renters." Though about 90% of renters made full or partial rent payments by late May, that's only down 2% from last year. Lawyers and landlords alike fear that this trend can't last. Researchers estimate about 3.7 million eviction cases were filed in 2016, and that's a year when unemployment rate was 4.7%. Increase that by 10%, basically, folks, and let's see how long the situation can last. Recovery is everything right now. So with that, let's bring Adam in. Today, we're very happy to be joined by Adam Hughes. He's the CEO of Amoun. We're going to take a look at how the current crisis has accelerated the adoption of digital and how important it is for banks to develop point-of-sale solutions for their customers. We're going to talk all digital. And Adam, you are in Chicago. Which part of Chicago are you in?
Yeah, first up, Sam, thrilled to be here. Thanks for having me on. So I live in Lincoln Park, but Amoun is located in the Loop. Right on the river at Wacker and LaSalle, if you're familiar.
Anybody familiar with Chicago? You just gave 2 of the most famous streets, I think, in Chicago. Well done. Other than probably Michigan. I believe you're a Cubs fan.
Yeah, I'm originally from Buffalo, and so diehard Buffalo Bills fan and Sabres fan, and we didn't have a baseball team. Kind of a Cleveland Indians fan because the Buffalo Bisons, our AAA team, was their farm system. But when you come to Chicago and live where I did, went to Northwestern, you quickly become a Cubs fan. It's pretty infectious. So adopted them, but still, diehard Bills and Sabres all the way.
Yeah, we'll definitely touch on a little bit about Buffalo toward the end of this. Always like going there, but Chicago, good town. I miss Chicago like crazy.
We were just joking that you're in Florida, right? So
yeah,
from Buffalo, live in Chicago. I'm due for some nice weather here. At some point.
Amen. All right, so let's talk about Amoun first, and then we'll talk about some of the other companies associated with this. But for the folks watching that aren't familiar, can you kind of describe what Amoun does, what you focus on?
Sure. Yeah. So Amoun, we're a digital banking platform We partner with financial institutions to dramatically improve their digital capabilities. And so what does that mean? That means helping banks in a digital fashion, mobile enabled, to help their customers open a banking account, apply for a personal loan, apply for a credit card, improve their e-commerce financing solutions that they can offer to their retail partners. All things that consumers are demanding and getting to 2020 standards, but it's really difficult for many banks to do for a variety of reasons. And so via the flexible platform that we've built at Amoun, we can help a bank stand up a full soup to nuts banking platform for their consumers in a matter of months for a fraction of the cost. On top of that, in addition to the UI UX experience of just opening that banking product and service, the core component of the platform is the underlying data and tools for verification and fraud prevention. And so the platform is going to allow the bank to have really unique insights into their consumers across asset classes so they can make smart decisions. And on top of that, which is really important with more and more consumers leaning digital with COVID, is all of the ID, employment, income verification tools, as well as all the fraud prevention techniques, and really understanding the difference between first-party fraud, third-party fraud, synthetic fraud. And so really allowing banks to grow their portfolios profitably in addition to just opening these banking products up.
And let's talk about, if you don't mind, just a little bit about how Amoun came about. I think the news kind of came official in January, February. Your background, talk a little bit about background, if you don't mind. Correct me if I'm right on this. You were employee number 1 or number 2 at Ava? Is that true?
Yeah, it's debatable.
It's always debatable. Everybody argues, I got the business license.
kind of a running joke at Avant. So the first company was a company called Avant. And for the viewers today, so Avant was founded in 2012. Yeah. Really the goal for that platform was to provide middle-class consumers just better banking products, much more affordable, transparent digital products. And at that time, that 650 FICO customer was having to settle for really untransparent, high fee, in-branch experiences that took hours. And we really thought that we could really improve that experience in those products via better technology and better data techniques. And so, fast forward 7 years later, Avant's platform via their banking partner, over 1 million transactions were originated. It's a big business, NPS scores in the 80s. And what we found was technology we had built around, again, that UI, UX, the loan origination system, all the fraud prevention tools, was really credit score agnostic. And we could peel out that technology and offer it to banks to really improve their digital capabilities on a white label basis. And so we peeled out that tech, made it official with effectuating a split Jan 1 of this year. And now Avant and Amoun are separate businesses, with Avant, again, continue to be focused on providing just better lending products to that middle-class consumer, and Amoun really focus on improving banks' technology via partnerships.
So during your time at Avant, you were the president, you were the COO. And here's one of the reasons I love Avant, and we have this conversation constantly. Silicon Valley is not the only place where you can do innovative technology. It's not the only place where there are unicorns. You didn't brag enough about Avant. You should. I love it, man. It's the crown jewel of the Midwest.
I love my time at Avant. So Avant had 3 co-founders and a guy by the name of Al Goldstein, who's been a very successful serial entrepreneur in his day, brought me on effectively day 1 or day 2. And I joked because his wife was our general counsel, and there was always a running joke of whether or not Anna was employee 1 or I was employee 1. But I was brought on as the COO and oversaw marketing, operations, and product, and really, again, standing up the first call center, really rolling out our first personal loan and credit card products for that customer base, and everything else in between, learning QuickBooks, et cetera. And very quickly saw that business grow in terms of our customers as well as our employees, and just had a phenomenal 7 years at Avant. But based on my success of kind of in early stage and track record of launching and scaling digital products, the board and Al thought my experience could be really impactful running on the Amoun side. So made the jump over to Amoun in September, and then became the CEO this year.
If you're going to do a spinoff from a very successful company like y'all did, it sounds really easy, but the reality is the leadership team that you put in play, just because you're successful doesn't mean a spinoff is going to be successful. Let's put that out there right now. And Adam, you've lived it, so you know that, right? It's not an easy road to go in and do this and set this up. I mean, what's been your primary focus? What are the one or two things? Is it building the team at Amoun? Is it the client base? Is it the product?
Well, we have an incredible team at Amoun. So we have 340 employees at Amoun today. And
wait, say that again. How many?
340 employees at Amoun today.
Yeah. Nice.
And majority, 250 of those are technologists and data scientists and folks in our product team. But I think what really has made us successful when we're speaking to banks and giving us that credibility is we were digital lenders, right? And we have experience from our Avant days of growing profitably large portfolios and providing customers incredible experiences at the click of a button. And customers are really demanding that experience because especially millennials are used to ordering a pizza, ordering an Uber, if they're single, getting a date at a click of a button. And they're really demanding that same experience from their banks and bank-like products. And Avant, we were able to achieve that. And so we've been able to take that experience and provide that kind of best-in-class recommendations to banks on the Amoun side. Some of the challenges, I mean, obviously when you're, as part of the split, Avant became a customer on the Amoun platform along with all of our other banking partners. And so you talk about challenging when you're negotiating SLAs with the Avant team that knows, both of you know your business really well. That can be a really, really fun experience. But the split went incredibly well. Both businesses are really set for success. And now I'm just really focused on, one, continue to provide value to our current bank partners. We have 3 banks in the top 10, and just seeing a ton of interest in the market during this time to just, with banks hoping to improve the digital capabilities. These customers want digital with a lot of branches being shut down. 2, adding new prospect banks to the platform. And 3, just kind of everything else around scalability and making sure that the platform is extremely stable as we look to add additional asset classes of products to the platform.
Yeah, and this is public knowledge, so I'm not giving away any clues here. When we talk, you kind of bragged about or stated about some of your clients. I was reading an article, so correct me if I'm wrong. This is Regions Bank, HSBC Holdings, and TD Bank. Not bad. Good on you guys. What's an implementation like for y'all? I mean, what are we talking timescale wise? How heavy laden is that?
Really depends on the bank. I mean,
always depends on the bank. Good answer.
Yeah.
I hate when people say 2 weeks. Bullshit. Never.
Yeah, right. Some of the banks we work with, I mean, they're large banks, right? So it's going to be a little bit more custom, and truly every bank's a little bit different in the way that they approach things. But we've gotten, if a bank wants to set up, hey, we want you to dramatically improve our customers being able to open a personal loan, we can do that in 3 months. From a signed BRD. We can do the same for credit card. We can do the same for deposit accounts. And what our newest product is that we're really excited about is what we call Amoun Pay. And that's just our point of sale financing solution that's finally going to allow banks to go to their retail partners and offer that financing product that consumers want today in addition to that credit card. And really kind of protect their moat that they have with these large retail partnerships, with giving them that point of sale financing solution in the e-commerce experience. And so overall, you're talking about, call it 3 months from that signed BRD, which is typical for us. And then we have, smaller, more box products that can be even short of that around if the bank just wants that fraud product that we have that we call Amoun 360.
Yeah. And can you talk a little bit about that fraud product? And the reason I ask, already in the comments, I got to do a link for you. Veronica Truist, who's on the fraud side of the house, is already like, Sam, make an introduction. So there you go, Adam. Hey, well done. But can you dive a little bit more on that fraud side, if you don't mind, and talk about the product?
Yeah. So, out of the gate, we initially focused on just helping banks originate products. So again, really focus on personal loans, credit cards, deposits, and that point of sale solution. And what we found was, in that sales cycle, most banks didn't have the most best in class experience on opening those products. And it wasn't the highest priority, but every bank was having trouble understanding credit versus fraud risk. And so the fraud product was the first standalone module that we carved out from the platform that we think is going to be kind of the leading edge of the spear when we're out in the market. And so what the product is today is it's a combination of a fraud score, a fraud consortium based on all the data from our partners that we have today. So we continue to learn, and get smarter on the platform in terms of what actually is fraud, what kind of fraud versus that credit risk. All of the external data integrations, and then that risk and mitigation platform that's going to allow all the partners to really verify that ID, income, employment, AML, BSA in an automated fashion on the customer's mobile phone. And so whether that bank wants the full experience with originating products or they just want that fraud product to help them understand, again, that fraud versus credit risk, that was the decision that really drove us carving out that one particular product.
And what have you seen? We've now been a couple months into, I refuse to say new normal, our current situation. What have you all seen when it comes to the fraud side of the house and the e-commerce side of the house? Or I would expect to see a significant input on threats and attacks.
Yeah, I mean, COVID, obviously unprecedented, and
yeah,
it's been a lot of trying and challenging times, but the silver lining is more of our banks are looking to improve the digital capabilities, and along with that, they're going to be more open to a fraudulent attack. And so not only are customers demanding that digital piece, but banks really need to protect themselves, and they're aware of that. So we've seen a huge spike in our sales pipeline for that fraud product. To really, again, help banks understand on an omni-channel basis across asset classes, like who actually is this person applying for this banking product. And so, while we're still navigating COVID like everyone else, there's a tidal wave of new partners coming on the platform here, from a combination of that point of sale product, from that fraud product, as well as our traditional account opening products.
A question from Dan over in London is asking you to describe Spring Labs.
Yeah, Spring Labs is a sister company to Amoun. One of the co-founders of Avant, John's son, and one of our board members, Adam Hughes, founded that company. They are a decentralized network that utilizes blockchain and really focused on ID verification. And so instead of banks and digital lenders paying a lot of money to the credit bureau to get back their data that they provided them for free, blockchain is aiming to really crack the code on better, more safe transfer of data to really unlock ID, income, and employment verification. And so they're still in early stage, just launched their product, but it looks extremely promising as a way to kind of disrupt the traditional, looking at the products that have been around for the last 10 years, or just looking at a pay stub or a bank statement to verify someone's income, and a really quick and safe way to actually do that via the blockchain network that Spring seems to be on the cutting edge with.
That I'm sure you're familiar with it, the PayPal Mafia, in that diagram where they show everybody and all the companies that have spun out of PayPal, and kind of timely seeing that Elon Musk is sending people into space just down the road from me today. Y'all should do that at Avant. You got Spring Labs coming over here. You got Amoun. That'd be actually interesting to see, and that tells you how good of a company it is when you have this type of talent and these type of solutions coming out of it. So, congrats to you and the team.
Yeah, thanks for saying that. I mean, we have a long way to go. We think the future is incredibly bright, and we're excited where we sit strategically. We're excited where Spring Labs is, but I think there's still some time before we start bragging about everything that we're doing. But yeah, I mean,
I'll brag for
where all these businesses sit is pretty cool.
Sunaina, I just wanted to say that because I can say your name right now, Sunaina. And she's a head of data acquisition at M Science in New York. She was asking for the Amoun POS solution. How do you compare that against Square or other players? And I'm dying laughing because my landline phone is ringing, and in my house, I don't even know where the landline phone is. So that's what you're hearing in the background, everybody. An actual landline that
That's
I really wish
incredible that you still have a landline.
It's not me. It's my wife. Honest to God, I can blame her for this one because I don't know where it's at, but evidently it's in my daughter's bedroom somewhere, which is pretty cool. All right. So Sunada's question is around the Mount POS solution. How do you compare that against like Square or other players? Is it a competitor or is it kind of just part of the ecosystem?
Yeah. So we think the Amoun Pay solution stacks up really, really well with the offerings that you may have seen from Shopify this week, from Affirm, from Klarna, and via the set of e-commerce APIs that we've been able to build, it allows the bank's retail partners to very quickly and seamlessly set up that point of sale financing product on their checkout page for their customers. And then those order management APIs that we've also developed really seamlessly facilitate the transfer of funds between the retail partner and the bank. And so again, and very, very quickly, this is going to allow banks with those retail partners that are being threatened by some of the fintech POS players out there to offer a really comparable product here to provide the end consumer what they're looking for. And the millennials especially aren't that comfortable anymore with credit cards, and they're really looking for that 0% APR POS financing tool. But yeah, it stacks up very, very nicely. And obviously, we did a lot of market research with what the competition looked like, as well as what customers were looking for before we built it.
Yeah, I mean, and you have to, right? I mean, with some of the names that I threw out there. But I would, here's one of the things I wanted to ask you. So if I do find this interesting, we touched on it earlier. Chicago-based, for folks that aren't in the U.S., for example, or in New York and San Francisco, what makes Chicago such a hotbed for talent, especially in financial services?
I mean, Chicago, one, has incredible schools. So you think of Northwestern, where I went, so I got to put that at the top of the list, of course. But
sorry, I'm a Michigan fan. Yes, Northwestern's okay. The uniforms, come on, dude.
Fair enough. I know. But University of Chicago, University of Illinois, Michigan State, those Midwest schools are really, really close. So I mean, you just have this incredible amount of talent that's kind of centralized there. And for the folks that don't want to make the move to the coast, there are some incredible options in tech in Chicago. Two, the cost of living here is incredibly reasonable. And so not only from getting a condo or a house perspective, but also just the cost of office space. And so allowing us to kind of get A+ real estate in the heart of the loop for $30 a foot, you're just not going to be able to find that in San Francisco or New York. And so really the combination of the talent, the cost of living, and then just the community. I mean, there's so many incubators here. There's so many breakout sessions that I'm a part of that have just been so valuable to hear other CEOs and other things in the community that have been helpful.
Yeah, it's interesting for folks that are watching this from Europe or Asia. We got folks on from Hong Kong, by the way, Adam. We got folks on from Zurich, Middle East, everywhere else. In the U.S., what makes places like Chicago, San Francisco, New York unique is actually these mass transit systems that are set up, which are not common throughout the U.S., which also make use cases like contactless and transfer and any kind of innovation along those lines interesting, but
yeah, I mean
they are, but they're not regional. The only thing that's wrong with Chicago is the L line, which goes from the airport into town, does not have AC. And in the summer in Chicago, oh my God, it's hot.
Yeah, I mean, there's rumors that if Chicago, they were a contender for one of the past Olympics, if they were to get that Olympics, they were going to redo the entire L system. But it's fine. Actually, about 50% of Amount's employees walk to work because they live in River North or the West Loop, which are, a nice 10-minute walk. I live, as I said, in Lincoln Park. It's a 10-minute drive. And so, the proximity with the neighborhoods to downtown is really, really simple. And it just makes for a nice, kind of way to start your day.
So Christoph, who's in Manila, is a great financial fintech reporter based out there, said he'd love to see Avant come to the Philippines because the banks desperately need there. Or an amount. Is there any concept of going international, or is this just U.S. for right now?
Yeah, and no worries on the name. I still slip that up once in a while. But yeah, no, Amount, we do have international aspirations.
Good.
Our plan today is we're going to grow with our banks. And so several of our bank partners are global banks. You mentioned HSBC, obviously.
Yeah.
And so, currently right now we're supporting HSBC's US vision. But the plan would be to expand to Europe, to Asia with HSBC. And we have several other banks that will be announcing soon, again, have that global footprint that we'd be looking to support.
Okay. The question I've been dying to ask, because we're slightly running out of time, there's two. One, is it true that Buffalo is the home of wings, that it was invented? It's important to me.
Yeah. So a place called Anchor Bar in Buffalo.
That's it.
During the blizzard of '77, I believe. The story is that they were kind of locked in there during the blizzard, and all they had left were the wings of the chicken, and fried them up, and this delicious meal ensued. So, yeah.
I love that it's called the blizzard of 77, because I know Buffalo. There's a blizzard of 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84. More snow in Buffalo than I think anywhere else in the U.S.
It's unbelievable. My wife does not let us travel back for Christmas anymore, just because you're going to get delayed. So we go for Thanksgiving now.
That's hilarious because you live in Chicago, but we'll get past that. Here's a question I ask everyone, and I've really enjoyed the answers I've gotten to this because they've been so diverse. So looking over the past 3 months, right, past couple of months and what we've seen, this is a tipping point moment, I think, for so many industries, including financial services, including lending. You take your pick. What's the one thing that you see that really surprises you, or you think is in for a really quick change? So, for example, I've had folks talk about contactless and the uptick there, right? Restaurant industry being so disrupted and a need for change. What's the one thing you see when you look out?
It's a great question. COVID is an accelerator event in our industry, but this stuff was already moving before it. I mean, if you look at the trends, again, going back to millennials, I mean, their preferences for how their approach to banking was very, very differently. And Goldman launching Marcus a couple years ago was an accelerator event in our industry, and we saw a lot of inbound traffic because of that from banks 6 through 1,000 here in the U.S. And we believe COVID is going to be another accelerating event, because if you look at any of the survey data, I saw a recent BCG survey, and 46 or 40%, I think it was, of customers plan on using digital banking capabilities more. So the mobile app and the bank's website more, and 25% of customers plan on using the branches less. And I'm sure that will normalize a little bit once we get back to the quote unquote new normal, using your term here. But for sure, customers are going to be demanding that in-phone digital experience when applying for banking products that are really, really simple to do. And so that is our goal, to make that super easy for the bank to get up to the 2020 standards to compete with the top 5 money center banks in a digital fashion, as well as really provide their retail partners the tools to really be successful.
Okay, folks, believe it or not, we're up against the hour. This flies by. Let me just say this. I would never, and I would not recommend betting against Amoun, right? Look at the track record that Adam and team have had, that Avant has had, a talented group. Never bet against Chicago. I'll go ahead and throw that out as my Midwest roots. So, Adam, where's the best place for people to find more about you and what you're doing at Amoun?
Yeah, so folks can go to Amount.com. They can check out our LinkedIn page. The team does a fantastic job of really keeping that up to date and put all the PR that we're doing around the new products and services. But thanks for having me on. This was fantastic. I'd love to do one of the virtual happy hours that you do at some point, and stay involved.
Yeah, we should definitely get you to virtual happy hour, because I have folks from all over the globe that want to know when Amoun is coming to the country. Might do like a virtual across the globe. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. Tomorrow, this one's going to be interesting tomorrow. I got Dan P. Simon. He's the author of The Money Hackers. That is a cool book that I highly recommend you reading. I love getting authors on that, by the way, are also CEOs. I believe he's the CEO of Zest. Again, if you know someone would be perfect to come on the show, don't hesitate to reach out either to me or breakfastshow@11fs.com. Everybody, have a great week. Adam, go Red Wings.
See you, Sam.
That one was